Despite Himeno's short appearance in the Chainsaw Man series, she has become one of the most interesting characters, not just because of what she did during her short time, but we also got to see what kind of person she was in the very little time she had, which just goes to show us that with great writing, you can make a character that doesn't last long in a series be not only memorable, but also leave a huge impact as well. And that's exactly what Himeno did, and while her character is great, it's also tragic at the same time, and it shows us just how dangerous and how very unsettling the world of Chainsaw Man is, and how being a devil hunter, while it does have its benefits and it seems there's a lot of good rewards being one, there is also a lot of danger. And if you're witnessing so many traumatizing things on a daily basis, then it's not surprising how all these events can seriously impact the person who is witnessing all this, and can lead to that person trying many different things in order to forget those events. And that's exactly what Himeno was doing. Himeno was a devil hunter that got a lot of experience, but at the same time she also witnessed a ton of tragedy. This becomes very clear in the flashbacks that we see from Himeno, in which we see her at the cemetery mourning the people that she has lost. This of course are people who used to be devil hunters and she used to work with, trying to hunt down devils. And while she is fully aware that you have to be strong and is not surprised that the ones who were weak weren't going to last long, it still impacted her because these people, just like her, were humans. They had lives, they had families, and they had people that cared for them deeply. Which leads me to my next point of just how strong Himeno was, because there was a brief moment in which we see that a late partner's girlfriend lashed out at her by slapping her in the face, and Himeno did nothing. She didn't react to that slap, and it's most likely the reason being is because she could understand why the girlfriend was so mad, but sad at the same time, that she lost somebody that was important to her. And this could imply this isn't the first time that Himeno has been ridiculed by the loved ones of the people who have fallen or have gotten physical towards her, which indicates that this is just simply something normal, that this is something that she's not surprised that happens because it has happened from time to time. However, despite all the tragedy that she has witnessed, there is always something that you see from Himeno, and is the fact that she's always very cheerful and always has a smile on her face. Every time you see her around people, she's usually the one who seems to be very happy, but we could also at the same time acknowledge as this just simply being her mask to hide the true feelings, the true emotions that she's feeling. And this could simply be a way in order for her to try to forget everything that has happened to her in her life. But of course, that is not to say that she isn't cheerful, and in some very few moments you can see that she's actually very intelligent, like during the Eternity Devil arc, in which Denji had no interest in the mission or wasn't going to take it seriously. Himeno offered a deal to Denji, saying that if he successfully took care of the Eternity Devil, then he was going to receive a French kiss from her, which of course led to Denji now trying to take this mission seriously and trying to defeat the Eternity Devil. This moment really showed us that Himeno can actually see through people and has a somewhat understanding of the kind of people that she is dealing with, but at the same time she also has her very serious moments as well, like when Power threatened to kill Kobeni. Himeno showed no hesitation by using her devil powers, this being the ghost devil, in order to make sure that Power didn't do anything stupid, and made it very clear to Power that if she did anything to try to harm her or the other teammates, then she would have no problem killing her right then and there. So yeah, it's very clear that Himeno also had her moments where she was being serious and not playing around. But the thing that really stands out about Himeno as a character is of course her relationship with Aki. And the reason being is because Aki and Himeno had some history. When Aki was first starting out as a devil hunter, he was assigned with Himeno through Kishibe. And at first the relationship wasn't anything special, it was just simply two people just being co-workers. But obviously as time passed on and they spent more time with each other, they got to know each other more better and they got to know what kind of people they were. And during that moment in which Himeno was slapped by the late partner's girlfriend, Himeno was actually with Aki at the time, so when Aki saw Himeno getting slapped by this person, he was not happy, as he felt that it wasn't Himeno's fault for everything that was happening, and it's not like Himeno wanted this person to die to begin with. So in retaliation, Aki actually followed this girl and put a piece of gum in her. And of course, after Aki told this to Himeno, all Himeno did was just laugh because she was surprised but shocked at the same time that Aki, out of all people, would do something like that. But it did demonstrate just how deep the relationship has gotten, and of course as time passed on, Aki and Himeno became more closer than ever. And it was made very obvious that at this point, Himeno saw Aki not just as a co-worker or just another devil hunter partner. She saw him as somebody that she wanted to be with for the rest of her life. And because of this, there were many moments in which during their conversations between her and Aki that she showed that she didn't want to be a devil hunter anymore. She wanted to get out of this job and do something else. But the thing that was keeping her from doing that was of course Aki. And no matter how many times she tried to tell Aki to stop being a devil hunter or implied that maybe it's better off doing something else, Aki did not want to quit being a devil hunter. And the reason being is quite simple, because Aki had his own reasoning to being a devil hunter, and it's because he wanted revenge on the gun devil. This gun devil was responsible for his family passing away, and the reason why he even became a devil hunter to begin with was that so that hopefully he could confront the gun devil and take him down once and for all. So with this in mind, it's not surprising that whenever Himeno wanted to quit, she couldn't, because she was just that close to Aki and she didn't want to leave Aki alone. So while she did not like this job anymore, she still went with it, because as long as Aki was part of the devil hunters, she was going to be part of it as well, even if she didn't like it anymore. Now, with all this being said, we of course have to talk about the thing that stood Himeno out the most in Chainsaw Man, and that is how she tried dealing with her trauma. There were actually two big things that showed just what she did in order to cope with everything that she has had to deal with. The first one is her addiction to nicotine, also known as smoking. It's very clear from the many moments we see with Himeno that Himeno is a heavy smoker. Not to mention that Himeno was also the one that made Aki a smoker as well. Before Aki met Himeno, he had no interest in cigarettes, but one day Himeno actually offered a cigarette to him, and while at first he was hesitant, he ultimately decided to take it, because not only to make Himeno leave him alone and stop bothering him about it, but he thought that would be his first and last cigarette, which was not the case, because Aki would eventually become a smoker just like Himeno. But this was only one of Himeno's coping mechanisms. The other coping mechanism that Himeno used was her getting intimate with a bunch of people around her. It will be revealed that Himeno made it a habit to always get intimate with a bunch of men. And of course, there is that infamous moment of her taking Denji to her house, in which it seemed that she was planning on getting intimate with him as well, after a party in which the devil hunters were celebrating the defeat of the Eternity Devil. And obviously Himeno was in a drunken state, and this would lead her to her taking Denji to her house. But the only problem with this is that Himeno was an adult and Denji was still a teenager at this time. Clearly see why so many people, when seeing this moment, were shocked and uncomfortable with Himeno doing all this, because this was not okay. And yes, I am fully aware that what Himeno did is wrong, and it's something that nobody should do, because it's not only messed up but also illegal. At the same time, you have to take into consideration that this moment wasn't just simply black and white. The first thing is obviously that fact that Himeno was not sober and she was very intoxicated, so she had no idea what she was doing, because let's be honest, people who are in a drunken state like Himeno could do stupid things during that state. But not to mention that this is also just simply another example of just how flawed Himeno is as a person. She isn't always going to make the perfect decisions. Some of her decisions are just flat out wrong and things that nobody should ever do. But it also shows us just how broken she actually is. Himeno clearly has dealt with a lot of things in her life, and like I mentioned earlier, this was one of her coping mechanisms to dealing with the trauma that she has to face. Because let's be honest, anybody who has the job of having to hunt these devils, these terrifying creatures, yeah, it's not something that people are going to be able to get used to, or something that people can just simply do and not be traumatized by it. Being a devil hunter in the Chainsaw Man world is not only going to affect you physically but mentally as well. And Himeno was a perfect representation of how someone's mental health can deteriorate because of this line of work. Also, not to mention that Himeno didn't get intimate with Denji, because when she was in the process of trying to do it, she realized that Denji had feelings for Makima and proceeded to stop. And during the next day, after this whole moment happened, once Denji told her what she was planning on doing to him, she of course was shocked, showing that she never had any malicious intents with doing it with Denji, and that she just simply was just being stupid and was just out of her mind. Himeno even openly states that she is glad that nothing happened between her and Denji, or else she could have gone into a lot of trouble, showing that even she herself knew of the consequences that was going to happen if she went through with what she was doing. And just when it seems that we were going to get more of Himeno and we were looking forward to seeing what she was going to do in future events, everything came crashing down during the Katana Man arc, in which a bunch of people, this includes the Katana Man, were going after Denji and trying to take him down. And while everybody tried to take down the Katana Man, they all realized that the Katana Man was not going to be an easy opponent. Also, the fact that Katana Man was not the only person with devil powers. There was another person that also had the powers of the Snake Devil. So yeah, this was not going to be an easy fight, and Himeno quickly realized this when she saw Aki struggling in this battle, and when it all seemed that everything was going to come to an end and that the Katana Man was going to win the fight, Himeno would eventually do the ultimate sacrifice and decide to sacrifice her life in order to save Aki. This is by, of course, giving the Ghost Devil everything she had so that hopefully they stood a chance against the Katana Devil. And even though we slowly see Himeno's body fading away, all Himeno can think of in these moments is just simply to save Aki. She wants Aki to still survive and to last longer than her. And this is all happening while Aki is slowly seeing and realizing that he is witnessing Himeno's final moments. And even though her sacrifice didn't really help because the Snake Devil joined, completely destroying the Ghost Devil, that wasn't the last action she would do. Himeno would use her last remaining strength to pull Denji's cord, which led to him becoming Chainsaw Man once again, and that would be the end of Himeno. That was the last action she would ever do. And her death will be a huge impact to Aki, as when he was recovering after this incident, when he tries to light up a cigarette, he can't because all the memories of Himeno start getting in his head. And all he can do in that moment is just simply cry because somebody important to him has passed away. So overall, while Himeno wasn't the greatest person and she made decisions that were not great, and there was a lot of flaws with her character, that's what made her all the more interesting. Himeno felt realistic, somebody that can be in the real world. They could also be trying to deal with their trauma with various different things in order to try to forget about them, just like what Himeno was doing. Of course, that's not to say that what she was doing was right and things that you should be doing in the real world, but it does give us that realism that somebody like this does exist. There are people that try to do the things that Himeno was doing in Chainsaw Man as well. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how life is. There are many people in the real world that are traumatized of certain things, whether it was things that happened in their past or things that happened to them recently. There's always those people that are going to try to forget about it in any way they can, even if it's not the correct way of dealing with trauma. But that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.